Are you at the end of your rope? Oh, not enough, not long enough. Of course, today's idiom, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here at your service. Our idiom today is at the end of your rope. Now, I don't know about you, but I have spent way too much time at the end of my rope, at the end of a rope. And it's always been my challenge to figure out how to make that rope longer, how to stretch that rope, how to move that rope, how to find some way to make that rope work for me in order to make sure that I don't hang myself and I don't make my situation, the situation I'm in that makes me feel like I'm out of options, because that's what being at the end of a rope means. It means that we feel like we're at our limit, that we're not capable of doing more, that we just don't know what to do, we don't know where to turn. And this is one of those idioms that, of course, I've used a gazillion times in my life. I don't know if gazillion's an accurate technical term, but a whole lot of times, most of my life, I've heard it and I've felt it in many situations. And I suspect that you have too. Whenever we're trying to do something, and building a business is doing something for sure. Whenever we try to do something out of the ordinary, we run into situations where we're not sure what to do. There isn't a book. It's kind of like being a parent. There isn't a book, well, there are now, but when I was first a parent, there really weren't books on how to be a good parent, right? And how to be a parent. And the truth is, all of our little human beings are unique and special and different. So one person's way of dealing with their children and how they raise their kids isn't going to necessarily work for you. Same way with building your business. One person's way, one person's strategy, one guru's miracle method of building the super business of the universe isn't necessarily going to work for you. Yep, it worked for them and it worked for the people that they teach and that are attracted to it, but it doesn't guarantee it's going to work for you. Only you will figure out and know 100% what is going to work for you, and that's only after you've done it, right? It's amazing. We only know whether things are successful or not after we've actually been through, done them, and achieved the success that we want. So where does this "at the end of your rope" idiom come from? It's a modern American expression, and it might date back as far as the 1680s. There's some confusion as to where and when it came from. It could come from the habit and the practice of tying animals up when they're young and giving them a certain area to graze in. I think many of us have heard the story of how do you train an elephant, and you'll walk by, you'll see an elephant at a circus and it's tied up to this little teeny tiny rope, and you're like, well, what the heck, that elephant could just take one step against the rope and be free. But they don't do it. And why don't they do it? Because they've been trained from the time when they were little baby elephants, and they couldn't break that rope, they couldn't break free. They've been tethered and tied up to that rope to the point that at some point in their trying to escape, they just stop, they give up, and they stop trying to break the rope, so that by the time they're an adult big elephant, they get tied or tethered to a beam or something, and they don't even try to escape because they've been conditioned to know that when they were little they couldn't do it, therefore they can't do it now. How many of us are like that? How many of us tried things and have tried things in the past and failed at them and then just gave up and just never tried to do that thing again? So it could come from that, practice of tying up animals, or it could be from when people would be thrown a rescue rope or something. Say somebody's drowning and you throw them a rope and they're right at the very end of it and they're just struggling to hang on. Or you throw them a rope and it's just a little bit shy of them and they don't have the strength to reach for the rope, to reach for it. Or it could come from mountain climbing or any other outdoor activity where a rope is involved and you're at the very, very end of it just hanging on for dear life. And sometimes we need people to throw us a lifeline. But whatever the origin of this idiom, it definitely shows up in many of our lives, if not all of our lives. Right now, with what's going on in the world, many of us are feeling at the end of our rope in our jobs, in our way of making a living, in our businesses, and all the different aspects of our businesses. Whether your business has been shut down or not, whether COVID will continue to impact your business or not, all of us are in this massive, simultaneous time of change and adjustment and pivoting and challenges and figuring out new ways of showing up in the world. So some of us might feel like we're at the end of our rope. And I'm here to offer hope that no matter how at the end of the rope you feel, there's always options, there are always choices. The biggest thing to do when we're feeling powerless, when we feel like we don't know what to do, is to stop, pause, take a deep breath, and realize We absolutely, positively do know what to do. We tell ourselves we don't know what to do. Sometimes we know what to do and we just don't want to do it. Been there in my businesses before. I've been involved in lots of different businesses, and sometimes I would get to the point where I realized that, actually not just businesses, in my jobs in corporate America as well. I would take a job, I'd be all excited about it. I would do all these crazy, amazing things in it, and then I'd run out of stuff that I could really do to make a huge impact. And then I would get bored with it, right? Ever get bored with anything? And I would want to do something different because I was kind of at the end of where I could make a major impact in that area, in that role, in that organization. And then I would want to move on to a different job or a different role or a different industry or different business because I was kind of at my end of my rope with that. We do that in relationships. I was at the end of my rope in my marriage for a long time, yet I continued to hang on for dear life, believing it was the right thing to do. Now, we always do things believing that they're the right thing to do. And they usually are the right thing for us at the time. And again, it's only hindsight being 20/20 that we understand that we could have made another choice, that we should have made another choice, that if we had made another choice or made a different decision, the outcome, of course, would have been different. But, excuse me, I guess I need a drink. I love this expression, and I'm curious what your experience has been with it. I've had so many experiences with it. It's unbelievable, up to and including letting go of the rope. And I am here to, as living proof, to say that is not the option. The option isn't to ever quit or give up or stay at the end of the rope. There's always something that we can do. And a lot of times it's just realizing that we're not alone in the situation that we're in. So often when we're feeling frustrated or powerless or at the end of our rope or that everything's out of our control, and we're feeling like a victim, we can feel like a victim, or we can transfer that energy and say, yeah, this was out of my control. This part of this situation is out of my control. But what is in my control? What can I do? What will I do? And we can almost always find help by just asking for it. We can always find people that are going through the same situation or a similar situation or have already gone through a similar situation to anything any of us will ever experience. It's pretty hard with the interconnectivity that we have in our world right now to think that we are the only person that has ever experienced a certain thing, that we are the only person that's been involved in a bad partnership, that we're the only person that's ever been divorced, that we're the only person that's ever been lonely or victimized or cheated or hurt or harmed in any way. So many other people have gone through and have survived and gotten through to the other side of almost any situation that we could possibly imagine, especially in our businesses, right? Business isn't new. So to think, it's pretty arrogant and egotistical to think that our business is so unique and so different that no one on the planet could ever possibly help us figure out how to not be at the end of our rope in any area or aspect of our business. So share in the comments below your experience with this idiom, and know that I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you apply it to your business right now? Take care.